to someone else, so we get a whole bunch of questions, and then we'll try to address them.
My question, so obviously I think the majority of us believe that nuclear power is essential for our future, globally. And we spent a lot of time in the Rickover era perfecting the technology, and we know that it works. My question is, more or less, so we've designed the, AP1000, it's passive design, more safe design, but it still doesn't, try to basically solve any of the problems that we have with waste management. We have, a massive amount of spent fuel assemblies. I believe it's over 240,000 just alone in the United States that we have in spent fuel pools and dry cask storage. And obviously, none of these things are long-term solutions to waste management. And what is your perspective and thoughts on the topic of waste management? What kind of initiative do we need to solve the problem?
Okay, thank you. You can also just go ahead and talk
to. Two things are certain. First, we work in a risk-adverse industry, and that innovation inherently carries some risk. My questions to Commissioner Magwood: what are your perceptions regarding the risk of supporting the innovations created by projects such as Iync American Centrifuge Project, via loan guarantees, especially post-Lindra, and the potential national security risk associated with neglecting to support the continued operation of the sole domestically owned enrichment supply?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Natalie Sacker from Chalk River Laboratories. Just as a clarification, Atomic Energy of Canada Limited is not closing its doors in 2016. We are going through a phase 2 restructure, but we will cease isotope production when the license does expire in 2016.
Hi, I'm Joel Lay from Atomic Energy Canada as well. And my question is regarding the economic challenges and basically the associated political climate. How do you go about promoting the need for more research reactors given the difficulties that we have in the global economy right now?
Hi, Mike Turgeon. I want to, it's actually a follow-up question to Ricky's question earlier about innovation. So we are a traditionally risk-adverse industry. How do we, as the generation of iPads, apps, and Facebook, successfully foster innovation in a risk-adverse industry?
Okay, how about two more?
Hi, Sharia Brown. My question is directed to the Commissioner. Many of the new requirements that have been rolled out by the NRC to mitigate events similar to what occurred at Fukushima directly impact the U.S. BWR fleet, and as such, the BWR owners groups have also established similar requirements. But are the same or similar requirements being established for the PWR fleet? And if so, have these requirements already been published?
Monica Weisland from PSEG Nuclear. This question is directed toward Commissioner Magwood. I just wanted to if you could take a moment and speak to the decision that was announced yesterday that the NRC is freezing license extensions and construction permits. And what does this mean for, what's the aim of this, and what does it mean for waste solutions going forward, as well as license extensions and new plant construction?
Thank you. Let's go ahead and go ahead right into the discussion. So there are a couple of questions that touched upon waste management solutions. Would you like to maybe give some international perspectives on, what you're doing and what directions you're going in with that?
Well, I think for nuclear waste, of course, it's obvious that you have to come to decisions where you want to do this waste. In Europe, we have really done long-term research programs, and one of them is done at our laboratory. For instance, in clay formations, how we could successfully put nuclear waste down there, so highly degraded toxic waste. At this time, many European countries are taking decisions on that. So, as you might know, Finland has taken decisions, Sweden has taken decision to take a deep underground barrel and down to take decisions. Now, of course, what do you do with the spent fuel? There are different ways. So we have been using in Europe, and I think the US also wants to use that more and more. We would like to use, well, we have been using MOX fuel for many years, so we have been reprocessing a lot of the fuel, and once this is really vitrified, how do you say that in English? Once this fuel has been put in a glass form, afterwards you can of course only put it somewhere in the underground after it has been cooling down for a number of years, at least 60 to 100 years. The spent fuel properties, there in Belgium, also in many European countries, they're just waiting in the storage today because we don't call them waste. We still want to use them eventually. So that's one of the points. We can of course also store them, and a country like Finland has decided just to take the spent fuel assemblies and to get those into the underground barrels. So I'm very convinced that towards the future there are two solutions. You have to put it in the underground, but secondly you have to try and optimize this waste, and still a lot of research has to be done, and one of the developments is the fast reactor development, where you can see how you could burn the toxicity of that waste, because that's really the major problem that we will have in time. And then on what form, what kind of underground barrel do you put it? Well, we have decided for clay formations, because it is a very, very good environment to store the waste, but other countries have rock formations, salt formations have been also selected, and of course the US has a continuous discussion where it wants to put it.
Dr. Furman, you were nodding. Were there similarities or differences in Russia?
I think in this part of the nuclear cycle, it is very important to take into account that the nuclear waste can be used as a second time if we will decide some problems with closed cycle, and for the long-term predictions we should obviously use a lot of simulations, and I think that the international teams which already exist in the frame of International Atomic Energy Agency and as a new formation of joint Russian-American teams, which I saw 1 month ago between the Argonne Lab people and Institute of the Nuclear Safety from Moscow, shown that there is great potential in the cores to make this waste not so large problem for the nuclear industry. And I hope that the new facilities like MIRA can also find the decisions for this problem.